Two names, Tupac Shakur and Christopher Wallace, better known as 2P and the Notorious B.I.G. Their story is one of talent, friendship, betrayal, and tragedy. But above all, it's the story of how two young rappers from the streets elevated hip-hop from a subculture to a global phenomenon. Let's rewind to the early 1990s. Hip-hop was already making noise in New York, but it was still largely an underground movement. Enter Tupac Shakur, a poet, activist, and rapper from Harlem who found his voice on the West Coast. With a unique blend of street wisdom and political awareness, Pac's debut album, Tupacalypse Now, challenged America to listen. His raw energy was unmatched, and he became a voice for the oppressed. Meanwhile, in Brooklyn, Christopher Wallace was turning heads. Biggie's debut album, Ready to Die, painted vivid pictures of street life in a way that felt cinematic. His flow was smooth, his lyrics were sharp, and his charisma was magnetic. While Pac was the fiery revolutionary, Biggie was the laid-back storyteller. Together, they represented two sides of the same coin. The power of hip-hop to tell the stories of struggle and triumph. Before the beef, there was respect. In 1993, Tupac and Biggie met at a party in Los Angeles. The two instantly hit it off. Pac even invited Biggie to perform with him, and they quickly bonded over their shared love for rap. Pac saw Biggie's potential and gave him advice on navigating the music industry. For a brief moment, it seemed like the East Coast and West Coast had found common ground in their friendship. But everything changed on November 30th, 1994. Tupac was ambushed and shot at Quad Recording Studios in Manhattan. The attack left him deeply shaken, and Pac began to suspect betrayal. Biggie and his crew were at the same studio that night, and though they claimed to have no involvement, Pac felt otherwise.
The Tupac article had me pissed off, you know what I'm saying? And the rumors that's spreading is on some tip like we set him up, you know what I'm saying? And that's crazy. It's just ridiculous, you know what I'm saying? But I also understand that if you was to get shot 5 times, mine is just completely spinning, you know what I'm saying? You're real confused about your situation, so it'll cause you to say things that you really don't mean.
The trust was broken. Fueling the fire was the media, which thrived on pitting the two rappers against each other. At the same time, record labels like Death Row Records on the West Coast and Bad Boy Records on the East Coast were competing for dominance. What started as personal mistrust grew into a full-blown East Coast versus West Coast rivalry. Tupac struck first, releasing Hit 'Em Up, a fiery track that took direct aim at Biggie, Bad Boy, and the East Coast. The song's aggressive tone shocked the hip-hop world and escalated the tension. Biggie, on the other hand, responded indirectly. Tracks like Who Shot Ya were interpreted as subliminal messages aimed at Pac, though Biggie claimed they weren't directed at him. The beef wasn't just about the music. It became a cultural war, with fans and artists taking sides. The East Coast represented tradition, the birthplace of hip-hop. The West Coast symbolized rebellion and innovation. The rivalry created a divide in the hip-hop community that seemed impossible to bridge. At the heart of it all, Pac and Biggie's feud was fueled by misunderstandings and outside forces. Both rappers were manipulated by those around them, from record executives to street crews, who had their own agendas. What might have been resolved with a conversation turned into a deadly conflict. In 1996, Tupac was shot and killed in Las Vegas.
Near fatal shooting, but he couldn't survive a second. Rap star Tupac Shakur died last night after a brief life in a rough business. He was 25.
6 months later, Biggie met the same fate in Los Angeles. The world was left reeling, and hip-hop lost two of its brightest stars. Their deaths were a devastating reminder of how far the feud had spiraled out of control. But here's the twist. In death, Pac and Biggie achieved what they couldn't in life. They brought the world together. Their music transcended the East Coast-West Coast divide and became the foundation of global hip-hop culture. Songs like California Love, Juicy, Changes, and Big Papa continue to inspire artists and fans across generations. The story of Tupac and Biggie isn't just about rivalry. It's a lesson about the power of art, the dangers of division,